So, in keeping with my new direction on this channel, I wanted to talk a little bit today about judgment and judging righteous judgment. So, you've probably heard, if you've been alive for any period of time, that you are your own worst critic, cliche. In my experience, most people are their own best defense attorney, and they're the best at making excuses for themselves. Now, I think there's truth in the statement that you can be your own worst critic, but it requires you to be honest. There are a lot of people who are honestly critical of me because of how critical and judgmental that I am. It's been about 15 years now that a young lady of my acquaintance when I was a missionary told me that she refused to date me because she, quote, always thought I was arrogant and judgmental, unquote. To which I thought, isn't it arrogant and judgmental to say that I'm arrogant and judgmental? But I didn't push the issue because if you have to force a relationship, it's probably crap. So I just let it go. And I've never talked to her since because I don't have anything to say to her. I know a lot of arrogant people. I know a lot of judgmental people. They don't seem to be bothered by the fact that people think they're arrogant and judgmental. So I'm really not sure what she was hoping to achieve other than by just saying, I'm not that into you, which is what I think it really amounted to. And the difference with me versus other people who are judgmental is I'm also judgmental about myself. If you talk to people who know me well, who are not family members, you will learn that I actually am my own worst critic, and they're very critical of me being so critical of me. You need to cut yourself some slack. You need to see the good in you. Even as one of my sisters said to me, I know you look in the mirror and you just see staring back the stern and the gruff. And in that message, she talked about some things that she has seen. Of course, that was 8 years ago, and my life hasn't changed any except for I'm more stern and gruff than ever and older. But I am stern. I am gruff. I know there's a standard. I'm in chemistry, in case you didn't know that. And in chemistry has strict boundaries and expectations. Because I tell my students, chemistry does not discriminate. If you are not following the rules, it will go after you. It doesn't care if you're rich or famous or the right political party or religion. Chemicals touch human skin. They do the same thing to me that they will to other groups of people, whatever that group may be. Chemistry follows the rules. And so as I came through my schooling in high school and then at university and then now that I work here, rules became things by which I measure the world. And I measure the world by rules. And I know most of the world measures itself by exceptions. But that's another topic for another day. And yes, I break the rules sometimes. I've been injured several times in lab because I'm not doing the lab exercise, and so I'm not wearing full PPE as I walk around and check on their progress. And I will reach in to try and stop something from being a problem. I've burned my hand several times. I've gotten stuff on me. Most of it's on clothes. But I've been the target for chemicals when I was trying to make sure they were not. And because I was not properly covered with PPE, I paid the price. And it's painful. Can be, anyway. So I know what the boundaries are. When I hit them and I am punished for them, I don't go screaming and talk about being a victim. I don't report it and go, you owe me money because I got hurt at work. I know exactly how I got hurt at work. I wasn't wearing gloves. I touched a hot surface, and now it hurts a lot. The other day I spilled acid on my hand. I had the container and a beaker, and I had poured some in the beaker so that I could do a demonstration. And then I was supposed to pour it back into the container, and I poured the container into the beaker, and it overflowed onto my hand. And it was a strong sodium hydroxide base, and it hurt and itched for about 2 hours, even though I immediately went and rinsed it and said, this is why you don't do this. This is why we want you to be safe. And maybe not the best example, but I will admit that I make mistakes. And I think that actually endears me to students because they realize I'm not pretending to be a saint. I think that's also why I was popular as a Sunday school teacher with the youth, is I don't go into class and pretend that when I fart it doesn't smell. Okay, I go in there and I tell them, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I'm doing that is right. I encourage you to do what is right, and I can't judge you for the things that you're doing that are wrong if I'm doing them wrong too. and whereas other people will pretend to be perfect. Portending to perfection is fine, but pretending to be perfect, that's live action role play, and it's pretty much not possible. So I've told them and warned them, if people seem too good to be true, they probably are. And so I think a lot of the youth who still talk to me today, even though I don't teach Sunday school for the kids and I barely interact with them, I think they still respect that I don't pretend to be something that I'm not. But I hold myself accountable. Like I said, I'll admit to hurting myself at work. I'll admit to doing stupid things. I don't know that I admit to everything because sometimes they're not contextually appropriate and sometimes they're not age appropriate. I try and keep it as mum as possible about my divorce proceedings because that's nobody's business about the details that doesn't need to know specific details. But they do know that I've been divorced and they do know I've tried to date unsuccessfully. And they do know some of the stories of the people I've interacted with, and people are kind of shocked. I think they're mostly shocked at the fact that I am critical of myself. So why does this matter? We are taught as Christians that with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And so I have actually been criticized by God at least twice in my recollection for being hard on myself, with the reminder that if you're going to be hard on you, I have to be as hard on you too. Now, in my favor, I'm hard on everybody. I'm hard on everyone the same way. I'm hard on me. I'm hard on you. I'm hard on my parents. I'm hard on my neighbors. I hold everyone to the same standard of accountability. That if you make a promise to me and you don't keep it, I lose trust in you, and I regard you as of no integrity. So when it takes me longer than I want to fulfill a promise that I have made, I do draw attention. See, I did fulfill this because I want to make sure my integrity remains intact. Yes, it took 2 weeks longer than I thought, or 2 weeks longer than you were hoping, or whatever the case may be. But I did not ignore you. I did not blow you off. It just took longer because it was more difficult than I originally imagined. And I think people are understanding of this. I think they understand what I'm doing. Of course, people who don't know me when I'm judgmental about them think that I'm just overly arrogant and judgmental. Okay? But if you know me at all, I'm also critical of myself. If you talk to my students, I know one of the ones, I think it was last Tuesday, said to me, "Oh, self-deprecating humor." And I said, "Remember, I'm the only one you can make fun of in this class. You can't make fun of each other, but you can make fun of me." I do that because I want to make myself the target. I don't want to make them the target because I know what it was like for me as a student to be made fun of, and I've already arrived. So if you make fun of me, okay. And if something happens that gets reported, the chair and the dean, or they know me well enough, they'll come to me with open hands and say, "Okay, this is what I heard. What's going on?" And they won't immediately jump to conclusions, which is good. I appreciate that. That I'm a known entity here. And so they know what to expect from my behaviors. That's the thing is I know that about myself. When I tell people why I'm judgmental, I know all I really know is the difference between what I could be and what I am. And there's a gap between those two things. I don't know how big the gap is per se. And I don't saying between what I am and what Jesus is, because comparing yourself to Jesus is unfair. Jesus is the literal Son of God. I'm not. And if I was capable of living perfectly like Jesus, what need would I have for a Savior? The Savior went through what he went through in Gethsemane, not in case we sinned, but because he knew that we would. And he provided it so that all who wanted to be redeemed could be redeemed through his blood and his name. That's not a license or permission to make mistakes and commit sins, because there's intentional rebellion and then there's mistakes. And I try and make as much of mine as mistakes as possible. But there are times I look at it and go, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. And I don't care. And I'm an open rebellion, I guess, at that point. I threw it away already. I was going to show you some chocolate, because I shouldn't be eating that, but I do because I want to. Because when I was in the best shape of my life, it didn't help me, so I do what I want to do. And sometimes I don't care to be as healthy as I ought to be and could be, because when I was super fit, it didn't help. So I'm not going to do all that work for no additional benefit. I should. I don't. And so there's a difference between what I am doing and what I ought to be doing of some size. My inclination to judge others is typically when they tell me that this is what I can expect and this is what they give me. And in that gap, that's where my judgment comes. I make decisions based on the information that I am given. And when you give me the information that you're going to put in this level of effort and you give me this level of effort, emotion results. My best friend told me once that emotion occurs when there's a difference between outcomes and expectations. Now, if you gave me this as the expectation and you give me this as an outcome, you'll also get an emotional response. It will be one of jubilation and gratitude because that's not usually the case. That's actually the people who are my friends. Everybody else is, they may call me friend, but I'm like, I can't rely on you, so I don't consider you a friend. And that's where my judgment comes in. They tell me what the standard is, and they don't live up to their own standard. They criticize me for an inability to live a standard they won't even attempt, or they are doing things that are contrary to the standard they hold others to. And I don't, all of those are hypocritical. So when I judge myself harshly, I'm trying not to be a hypocrite. Of course, if God really is judging me and saying, hey, cut yourself some slack because I want to cut you some slack, then that's a failure on my part. I know what I am. I know what people think I am. I'm probably not that. Probably not that good. And I know what I really am. So when I tell you these things, I'm telling you the truth about how I feel about myself. I'm not saying that I am a terrible person, that I'm a 0 out of 10 on the attractive scale. I don't believe that. That is how I feel based on the way people around me are acting. Because let's face it, if they value you, they meet or exceed the expectations that they give you. I have good parents who did as the best job that I believe they were capable of at meeting or beating the expectations they gave us for them as parents and the things that they knew we believed in them. My dad's been very careful to try and dumb it down, I guess. Manage expectations is what he would say, now that I think about it. To manage expectations and bring me down to a more realistic level so that I don't, because he doesn't want to come up short. He knows who he is. And he knows sometimes he swings for the fences and hits a grand slam. And sometimes it's a base hit. And if it's a base hit, I'll take it. And if it's a base hit, he'll take it. And that's good. Because a base hit is better than a striking out. So that leads me to the final point of this judgment and arrogant and judgmental is people who don't even try. I'm very frustrated. There are a lot of people around me who think that because it's not going to change anything, they shouldn't even try. Or who are critical of me for trying to create a better world, a world where there's justice and integrity and where goodness is rewarded. Because they're out there actually working contrarily to me. I'll give you a specific example. There was a guy probably about 6 months ago I was arguing with down here at the end. I'm an 18-year veteran who served in combat, psychiatrist, really, and I know better than you, guy who was telling me that it's okay to use women for recreational use only because that's where the world is headed anyway. And I said, do not commit the crime for which men are serving the sentence. You are not part of the solution. You are part of the problem. And of course, that's when he pulled rank. And I said, did you just pull rank? And I found out I had defenders in the group because one of them said he tried to. But like, you're condemning me while you undermine me. I don't know what to do with people like that. I haven't spoken to him since then because I don't know what to say to a person like that. A person who is actively undermining you while you're building. I don't know how sometimes God loves all people. I know that he does. And sometimes I pray, help me to see the things in them that you love, because I can't see it. Not that it isn't there. It just means that there's something I can't see. I'll close with this quote from F. Ncio Busha. He said, when you have trouble loving someone, try to see the hidden rudiments of a child of God in them. When I'm judgmental and critical of others, typically, a friend of mine from high school is the one who pointed this out. It's because I know the difference between where they are and where they could be. Because I know each and every one of you is a son or daughter of God. You are created in his image. He loves you. He wants the best for you, and he knows what you can become. I know that you are less than you can become, and I know people do not rise to expectations if they are not given expectations to meet. Most people do not get up at 5, let's see, what time do I get up? 5:25 in the morning and go out running at 5:30 every day in the dark. They do that because there's some other thing motivating them. They need to meet weight standards at work, or there's a girl who won't date them, or the doctor said if you don't do more cardio, we'll raise your rates, or you're going to have a heart attack or whatever. They don't do it because they chose to. They do it because there's some other motivation, some other incentive. I know that every single one of you can be better. I know I can be better. I know we ought to be better, and that everyone is better off if we are the best versions of ourselves that we can be. So when I'm arrogant and judgmental, it's not because I'm looking down on you. It's because I'm hoping you will look up at the version of you that you could become. The version of you that I know he sees, even if I don't know what it is. But I do know there's a version of you could be that you are not. I want everyone to be happy. I want the world to be a better place. I want it to be safer, more peaceful, more prosperous. I don't care if my prosperity blesses people I don't like or who don't like me. I don't care if we're both rewarded. I got rewarded. And I want life to be better for me too, but not at the cost of others. I'm not looking at you and judging you because I think I'm better than you or because I want to drag you down. It's because I'm hoping that you will lift others up. I know what you can be. I know what you are. And I know that the better we are, the more uplifting we can be towards those with whom we come in contact. I try most days to ask God what he would have me do that day. It's usually small things. Sometimes it's go home and love your dog. Sometimes that's enough. Because God made dogs too. And that dog is the reason I know there's a God. Because at the home right now, there's a creature who loves me absolutely, who will be excited to see me no matter how I smell after work, no matter whether or not I have treats or share my dinner. It's chicken tonight, so he'll get some chicken. And he'll love me even when it's all out and there's no more to give him because I've eaten the rest of it because it's my dinner. He has his own food. But he won't hold that against me. And when it's not cold at night, he'll snuggle up under the covers next to me, lick my face, and be glad to be with me. That's how I know there's a God. That's why I don't give up on him. That's why I won't quit him. That's why I go to church. There is a tangible reminder that I've neither been forgotten nor forsaken. And as long as you're here, I know he hasn't forgotten nor forsaken you either. So please forgive me if I'm holding you accountable. I'm holding you accountable because I want you to have everything he wants you to have and more. Godspeed, and take good care of yourself.